All right. I want to begin this message by saying this isn't going to be for everyone. In fact, there's going to be a lot of people who really disagree with this message, and that's okay because we're all at different spaces along our journey, and my journey is going to look different from your journey. So if this doesn't resonate, go on ahead. But if you're looking to study yourself to a deeper level, I'm just going to share my path and my story of sobriety and of changing my life for the better. I welcome in Source Consciousness to speak my truth, my story, in a way that elevates others who may be dealing with similar situations, similar circumstances. May this message be exactly what I need to set me free from anybody else's limitations, from anybody else's judgment. Okay. About 3.5 years ago, I decided to change my entire life. After being in addiction for 14 years of my life, something had to change. I was sitting in my room, living in Vancouver, downtown East Side. I was sitting in my room about to do the last of my drugs. And these were harder drugs at the time. Crystal, to be in fact, was my DOC. And I don't know if they're gonna allow me to post this, but I gotta be true to me. So, sitting in my room as I was about to do the last of what I had, I heard a voice. And at that time, I had just begun learning about the Bible and about Jesus and about going to church. I wasn't consistent yet, but I was learning. Now, when I heard this voice, my only thought was, this must be Jesus. And you know what? It was. This voice told me I had a choice to choose myself or to choose the life I was living that was going nowhere and doing the same cycle time and time again. I chose life. I chose life. And 2 days later, I packed my stuff up and I left to go home. My home. Calgary with my mom, where I knew I'd be safe, where I knew I'd be away from the surroundings that made it so easy for me to stay stuck, to stay in the same cycle with the same people, doing the same things every single day. Keep breathing with me, please. Like I said, this message isn't going to be for everyone. And so I left. July 19th, 2022 was the day I decided to change my life. I went to Calgary and I did exactly that. And it seemed God was on my side because he lined me up with a church to go to, with a very loving, compassionate, understanding, faithful congregation to join, where I was placed in love that I had never felt before. The love of God, the people of God. And then I got into treatment 2 weeks later, and it seemed like everything was lining up. I was faced with struggles, of course, because changing a consistency that you have been in, a cycle that you have been in for fucking, pardon my French, but so long is never gonna be easy. Because you have to you have to become somebody that you haven't been probably since you were born, when you come out with your innocence. And that began my journey of rebirth, completely, entirely of rebirth. 2.5 years later, I decided it was time to come back to BC. And about a week before I left, I slipped. I slipped into a new substance that I hadn't been into before. But my slip was not a slip and fall. I did not stay stuck. I did not continue it from that day. And most of all, I'm grateful I didn't die the way I had ingrained in myself that I would. When I came out to Vancouver, it became a journey of rediscovery. When I was in high school, I used to be able to drink on the weekends and go back to my regular working lifestyle during the week. I didn't realize then that when I would drink on the weekends, that was my way of celebrating the hard work that I had done. I didn't realize that till I got back to Vancouver, till I began living on my own with my dog, till I realized that this was my do-over. I've been placed in a building where drug use is the usual. And being placed in a building where drug use is the usual, in a new city with new friends and nobody really to connect with, it's only natural that I decided to try to find belonging. Let me just have a sip of water. Take a breath, please. This to me is where it gets good. It's only natural that I would have the feeling of isolation, being surrounded in surroundings that I once lived in. Yes, one side of it, I'm very, very proud and have been very, very proud since the day I stepped through these doors. Because I have the capability to live in surroundings that once controlled my life and choose what I want for myself. Now, about this time last year, through November, I dabbled through the whole month. And it got to the point that I recognized, okay, this isn't dabbling anymore. I'm getting into a cycle that I don't want to be in. And that moment right there changed the way I look at myself today. It changed the way I look at myself today simply because I recognize, pardon me, confirmation burp. I recognize that all of the inner work that I've done has been for a purpose. At the beginning of it, I was never addicted to substance. Because before I had chosen to change my life, I would do anything under the sun. Simply because I was addicted to escape. This journey of remembering and becoming who I am has taught me to feel my emotions and to express them in whatever way I need possible, to get to know myself in whatever way I need possible, so that I can become limitless in a world masked by the illusion of fear and by society and governmental and all sorts of limitations that I have not placed on myself. But at the same time, I am the only one that can place a limitation on myself. That being said, the place that I am at in my life, last November, I decided to ask for help. And as soon as I asked for help, I realized this isn't what I wanted to do. And I changed. And I continued to devote time and attention to myself. I had the opportunity once again, the same opportunity I had in high school, to choose my surroundings. Only this time, I knew that I had choice. And so I chose otherwise because I knew that those habits did not fit this new version of me. Did not fit this new version of me. And so I made a change. I've been in solitude for about a year now. There's a couple times I've gone out and I've had fun in whatever way, shape, or form that feels right to me. But this right here is a crucial piece of my journey. And I wouldn't be being myself. I wouldn't be sitting or standing or speaking in my authenticity if I did not share this piece of myself. Because who I am doesn't live by limitations. I spent 14 years of my life in addiction. Addicted to escaping the emotions that I didn't understand how to feel. That I had no idea how to feel. I was following, modeling, that modeled exactly that, to suppress my feelings, to run from my feelings, to drink my feelings, to drug my feelings, to do anything but feel my feelings. And for the first time in my life, I have gone above and beyond to choose myself again and again and again and again. For the first time in my life, nothing outside of me has control over me. I love me and I choose me time and time and time again, and I will continue to choose me time and time and time again, because I'm the only one that put this hard work into me. Yes, I've had support along the way, but I'm the one who made this happen. This being that you see right here, this being that you hear right here, this spirituality, this intelligence, this wisdom, this strength, these capabilities, this resilience, this ability to stand on my own or in a crowd. The forgiveness that I practice with myself and with others. And this life skill to continue to study myself in every way, shape, and form. I did this. My connection to source. I did this. And so, I guess I'll wrap it up with this. sometimes limitations are necessary. And in that case, I believe they're not so much limitations, but guidelines. I needed that foundation to find myself, to have the freedom of choice, to choose who I am in any waking moment of life. This structure, the foundation, I built it. And I built it out of the strongest materials. That is who I am to my core. Regardless. Now I'm at a place in my journey where I get to choose what limitations fit for me, or if I want to be limited, or if I want to have fun, or if I want to have a drink once in a while, or if I want to go out to eat once in a while. Dare I say it, if I decide to have a party night once in a while. The ticket that changed my life is I went through most of my life in these habits, in these cycles. I went through most of my life. So at this place in my life right now, if I decide to have fun in the way that I choose once in a while, I'm not going to beat myself up for that. It's been 3.5 years after doing partying and fun and everything for half of my life, literally half of my life. And then the beginning half, watching that be modeled to me. So literally all of my life, everything I've been taught up until these last 3.5 years has been that life. So if I continue to put myself in a shame cycle, if I continue to beat myself up for the progress that I've made, then what do you think's gonna happen? Then I'm gonna fall back. I refuse to be that. I refuse to fall back. I know my mission here on this earth. I know my purpose here on this earth, and it's far too big to let go of because of someone else's judgment that I'm perceiving, or my own judgment that I'm perceiving that is someone else's. Now, like I said, this video isn't going to be for everybody. I'm not telling everybody to go out and study yourselves right now the way that I have. No, that's not the answer. Because you know what? We are on different journeys. We are living different lives. And although we are all working to this magical purpose, this magical place, doesn't mean we're meant to get there the same. They say that not everybody can do this. And that's the truth. Not everybody can. So don't try. But this is my story. And I'm going to be authentic and I'm going to share it. Because I realize that this channel that I have is meant for me to share my authenticity, because my authenticity is meant to help somebody else the way I had a mentor that shared her experiences with me, that made me realize that I'm far too hard on myself. I know where I'm going. I know where I've been. And I know who I am. I will always commit myself back to me and who I am and what my heart center says is best for me, whatever may come up. I want to end this message with, I love you, I love you, I love you. If this reaches somebody who's having a hard time, somebody who may have slipped, may have even fell, may have even gotten stuck once again, I want to remind you that you can do it. You can change it all for yourself. And that is your choice. Let go of the weight of the world, because outside opinions, judgments, outside rules, limitations, they do not tell you who to be. You tell you who you want to be. And only you have the capability to become that. What's the moral here? Continue to choose yourself. It's the best thing you'll ever do, and it will continue to break chains. It will continue to break barriers. It will continue to leave you undefeated. It will continue to leave you unlimited. It will continue to leave you with clarity and purpose and passion. I think the most divine lesson that I have learned in this journey was to choose myself above and before anyone else. Because when I neglect myself for people outside of myself, for the opinions, the judgments, the limitations, to fit into a box or a category or a square that someone else has placed on themselves for their life, when I continue to put myself in someone else's shoes, living someone else's life the way they say to live their life, without discovering what fits for me, what resonates for me, what feels best for me, without truly studying myself and choosing myself and making that conscious decision after figuring out what all of my options are, I'm telling you, choosing yourself, getting to know yourself, studying yourself, that's the answer to life. And then, and only then, when we feel confident in our strengths, our boundaries, our capabilities, our selves, that's when we can start having outside influence again. But I think it's so important to get to know ourselves regardless of what stage we're at in our journey. Regardless if we are living on the streets and we are struggling in that lifestyle. Regardless if we are living in housing, dealing with mental health. Regardless if we are millionaires. Well, millionaires will tell you the same thing. It's very, very important to study yourself, get to know yourself, because you're the only one that can take you there. That's my message. That's my message for today. This might bug some people. In fact, I expect it to. I expect this to be a volcano that probably rumbles. And there may not be feedback, and that's cool. And there may be feedback, and that's cool. But this is my journey. This is what works for me. This is what I've chosen, and this is what I've become. And I continue to evolve every single day because I know who I am. I know who I am, and I know what I am. So, I wish you the best. I love you, I love you, I love you. Don't be too hard on yourself, but choose. Make sure that you still have choice. Make sure that nothing is running your life, but you are running your life. Happy ascending.